tiny owls, they hold each other's wings and they dance under the moon. Oh, oh, yeah, they dance under the moon.
Hi, how are you doing? Good to see you here. Thanks for coming over. It's a beautiful day, as you can feel in the air. I made you some apple cider. It's really nothing, it's really hair ties. That's where I keep my hair ties. That's gross, actually. Hair really hairy. You know, I've been watching a lot of Harry Potter. I mean a lot of, that too. A lot of Pee Wee Herman. Oh, Winston loves Pee Wee Herman. You know you want me to do this. Whatever vampires say. Okay. Excuse me. Excuse me while I eat some candy corn. Let's get to the point. Let's not mess around anymore, people. You didn't come here to mess around. Hedwig. That's the sound of Hedwig swooping down to eat candy corn, because that's what Hedwigs eat. Can you imagine if I thought that owls were called Hedwigs? They should be, really. So, there she is. Yay! Have you guys ever experienced a time warp before? You just did, because it's tomorrow. So, how did it feel? Did you, get spliced at all for it being tomorrow so fast? Did you have a good night last night? I did. The baby woke up and I had to stop making my video, so had to move it to the next day, which is today, and move it to my bed, my day bed, which I am freaking out about. I just got it. Cinnamon, cypress, and pine needle. There's like a Yuletide, foresty, spicy, mildly pungent. I might need to soften that up a bit. Maybe add some, a bit of vetiver or patchouli, something a little bit deeper, because it's in my brain. Anyway, did you see him? Hedwig had his first outing today. I wore him out for the first time. I hadn't worn him out because I always try to keep my new ideas so secret. You can't let him out because then he'll go out into the world. But I wore him out, and I wore him to the yarn store to pick up some yarn. Look at his little face. And I don't know if people liked it or not. I feel people were a couple people saw it and they're and then I'm do you not see that I'm wearing a snow owl on my neck? I need some more freakage. So I took it off and I'm look at this thing. I have issues. Anyway, and they're oh, nice. That's a shawl. I'm it is a snow owl and I am wearing it. Can I get a amen? Can I get a hoot? Can I get don't pollute? What the heck, people? I'm just kidding. They were really, it's not that they weren't being nice, but for some reason when I'm wearing this, I feel like it's a thing. You know what I mean? Okay, let me start over. If I was walking down the street and I saw someone wearing this, if I was driving a car, I would jump out. I'd be what are you doing? What are you wearing? What is happening? I'm not trying to talk up my own design either, but what is happening? What is happening, right? It's my favorite thing I've ever knitted. I know is that okay to say? I can't believe it. I had the idea to make wings on a shawl for a long time, and I know that's kind of, been done and things like that, and then I was oh, but I want it to be an owl, and then I'm oh my gosh, when I had the idea to put the face on, which I really think is best if you do duplicate stitch for the face afterwards, but once I put the face on, then I was this just happened. Is that, how nerdy can you get that excited about your own stuff? But anyway, so this is Hedwig, the snow owl. Hoot, hoot. Hedwig, that's Hoot. Look at his little finger feathers. I really toyed with how it would be best to do these for a really long time. And first I was going to do fringes and then do like printing. I was gonna like try to stamp them or something. I don't know what was happening. Then I did them straight. Then I made stripes going straight across. When I decided to do them in the round, something just kind of happened. And I honestly like didn't want to do all these in the round, and I was hoping like no one would be annoyed with that. But actually it wasn't that bad at all. I kept them on 2 needles, and I just was like, they went really fast, and you have to make something like 40 of them. And so I had my little, you know how I like to do piece knitting anyway, like little piece, pop it in the basket, little piece, pop it in the basket. So this was kind of like that, and I was kind of looking forward to having piece knitting because I really like my little, I just love that jam. I hope you guys do too. So I thought it was going to take a really long time to get the feathers done, and I was like, ugh. And then I was like, I would sit down and I would knit like, you know, a handful or 6 or 7 or something, and then it was like a week or something. What's the math there? Yeah, I was done in like a week, just kind of knitting them here and there. So it didn't really take that long. So I started Hedwig. I feel like I need to put this piece of hair up so that Hedwig can see, because owls need their eyesight. That's why their heads turn around. Did you guys know my head turns around all the way? Okay. So I started Hedwig about 2 years ago, actually. It doesn't take that long. It's literally not that long of a knit. It doesn't take that long to do, but I had a bunch of stuff going on, and I just like stopped knitting for a while, as you know. So he's been on the needles. It's actually been pretty much finished, except for the feathers and the face, for almost a year. He's been just sitting there waiting, and I'm like, and I could just hear him like calling me, and then he had to wait his time. Look at his featherage. The cool thing about this pattern, if I may talk it up for a minute, is that if you like mess up in the charts a little bit, which I promise you I did, it won't really matter too much. You know, even the feather part, if like one of your little feather thingers, which when you have it out straight, they do kind of go in an angle, but if you like mess one up a little bit, it's not really going to matter if you miscount in your chart. In fact, oh, you just saw my undercarriage. I actually messed up really bad when I was knitting it, and I got so off on the charts, which just because I was kind of brain dead at the time. I was pregnant. Anyway, there's that. Can't knit when I'm pregnant, apparently. So I actually stopped, and I had to do like the last part with duplicate stitch at the very end, which you can't even really tell. I don't know. I just dragged it along. This part was done stranded. This is done stranded, and then like some of the bottom parts were duplicate because I was so off. I'm like, I just have to knit the shawl and then put the owl on afterwards. So yesterday it was like 68 degrees. It was like perfect, and I wanted to wear Hedwig out today, and so like I put it on and I left the house, and it's 80. It got up to 87 today. Global what? So Hedwig was not appropriate, but I wore it anyway. I was like, I'm not out at all. You know when you're wearing something super inappropriate for the weather, but you really want to wear it, and you're like, I'm totally fine. Anyway, gotta rack your you gotta rack your flash, like regardless of what the sun is doing. Rock your flash, rock your flash. So first I had all the little feathers on, right? Like, and if I may say, they looked a little dangly. And they were kind of like, it wasn't working. And so I took them off, and then I had that idea to put fringe in the middle, and all of a sudden I was like, it's like a macrame owly situation, and then I was feeling a little bit better about it. Now I think that's exactly. And I also put the fringe on backwards. You know how you normally put the fringe on with like the big knot in the front? I had done that at first, but they were like popping out over the feathers, so then I decided to put them on backwards, and now they kind of settle in a little bit more, I think. Maybe that's just in my head. That can be your personal choice for however you want it to look. Oh, my other idea about this. I have several ideas. I have one idea that I would think I want to almost put it on like a pole and like hang it up on the wall, so it's just like this owl wall hanging. And the other idea forgot my other idea. I just wanted to like torpor. That's a word for hibernation. Anyway, my other idea was like if you don't like the face or the body or anything like that of the owl, it'd be really easy to just knit a white shawl and then do these feathers on it. It would still look really cool, like having the feathers down on just a white shawl, right? So there's that option, or just no face, or you can wear it so the face doesn't show in case you just like to have a lot of guff around your neck, which I clearly do want all of the guff around my neck, even though it's 87. Yeah, I would jump out of a moving car to be like, what are you wearing? What is that? But maybe I only just like it because I made it and because it's Hedwig. Let's talk about yarn. Can we talk about yarn for a minute? You guys want to talk about Alice and yarn? Geek. Okay. Yarn. Yarn. So when I originally was thinking about knitting an actual owl, I had this yarn in mind, which is Rowan alpaca cotton. It's like a brushed cotton alpaca discontinued, right? Which, as you guys know as well as I do, yarns get discontinued. I don't care if I try to choose a yarn that I'm like, this is going nowhere. Like this yarn will never die. And then it dies. And yes, it breaks my heart. I know it breaks your heart. I know it's horrible. And I do get emails from people going like, do you have a yarn suggestion, like for something I could use besides this? And I have to tell you, like, as a knitter, more than I am a designer, I don't know, I have just as much trouble. I mean, I will Google it and try to find, there's like a yarn sub website now, which you guys probably all know about. Like, I'm kind of last to the party when these things because I'm like a complete hermit and I don't know what's going on at all. Anyway, my point is the yarn I knitted this in, I'm just going to put it out there, has been discontinued. Take a moment. I know. It's a brushed alpaca. It's not terribly uncommon because I've seen several companies make a brushed alpaca before. I think Lang has one. I know, Rowan had one. They don't anymore. This was Knit Picks. They don't have it anymore. I took too long. I got the yarn 2 years ago. That's okay. Here is my suggestion. Okay, if you cannot find a brushed alpaca, use a worsted weight alpaca with the drape, right? Because it will fuzz naturally. Alpaca, however, has a tendency to shed like absolute crazy, and this thing is shedding all over me to the point where I shouldn't be wearing black. It's like worse than my cat, which she's really very sheddy. My next thought of what would be completely amazing with it is get a DK yarn, like a wool, something soft, or a blend of any kind, right? And then hold it with a strand of silk fiber. Almost every company's making this now. This is Kid Silk Haze from Rowan, which is the first one I encountered, but a lot of people have these now. Many of you know, some of you may not. If you hold this little puppy right here with a strand of DK, it will fuzz up your whole fabric and make it so soft and fluffy. In fact, for about, well, my whole entire knitting career, if I'm making something for myself, I can pretty well guarantee I'm going to hold some Kid Silk Haze with it and make it soft and fluffy. I think there were 5 years where there wasn't anything that I knitted where I'm like, I'm holding some Kid Silk Haze with it because it makes it easy. The only pattern I think I put out where I did that was the Bo Peep scarf, where you hold like, I think I held like a strand of cashmere with Kid Silk Haze, because I was like, let's just do this. Let's just make this fiber like as delicious as we can. So, big fan of that. That's my suggestion. If you've gotten this far in the video and you know the information, I'm sure I will still get emails about the fact that this is discontinued, and I'm so sorry. And there's a part of me that could stop and re-knit the whole thing and re-choose a different yarn, but then it would be another 2 years, and let's face it, if I pick a new yarn in 2 years, it's probably going to be discontinued too. So that's my theory and philosophy. I know how you're feeling. I know it feels raw. I know it feels like you just burned your finger on the stove, which, by the way, if you burn yourself, did you know to put mustard on it? Like flat out yellow, boring old French's mustard. If you live not in the US, yellow mustard is really spicy, so I'm not recommending using like Coleman's mustard, but like French's mellow, just mustard with no spice. It will stop the burn pretty much immediately. I know that because one of my friends from ages ago used to work at McDonald's. And they told me that. That's what they do at McDonald's. If they burn their hand like in a grease fire, they'll put mustard on it. Who says we weren't given all the things here that we need to make ourselves feel better, huh? Right? Mustard seed. Anyway, I know you might feel like you need to rub mustard all over your entire body now that you've heard that the yarn is discontinued, but a lot of people use substitutions anyway, and the yarns, they come and go, and you just have to dig on the websites, look at Ravelry, look what other people have used, look at photos of yarn, and get out to the yarn shops as much as you possibly can. Support your local yarn flippers, because they'll have something. They'll even have suggestions. Although when I was in there today, I'm like, what do you guys think? They're like, oh, I don't know. And then we came up, they said the same thing, like holding a yarn with the silk haze. That was my earring. So anyway, so that's my yarn substitution thing. I didn't want to talk to you guys about that because I think it's like there's like a little bit of boringness to it, and there's also a little bit of sadness about it, but it's reality, and it's time to like get to the nitty-gritty and begin to like dealing with stuff. Oh my gosh, look what I have. Look what I have. There is a shop called A Beautiful Place on Etsy where this fairy woman just sits with her muses and pulls in all of these little fibery bits. Our muses work together. I adore her so much. I bought several things. This is a little book that she made, and it's just a felted, it's got clovers in it, and she just like put the paper in there. And this is how amazing she is. Look, there's a freaking 4-leaf clover up in that. Have you ever even seen a 4-leaf clover? My grandmother, when I was little, the one that knitted, she gave me a 4-leaf clover one time, and I was so excited, and I grabbed it from her, and one of the leaves fell off, and it had spit on it, and she was like, and I'm like, Grandma, you spit on it? She like spit it and stick it in there to like make it stick, like a fake 4-leaf clover. I'm no longer mad at you, Grandma, for that, but like seriously, don't do that to your kids, please. Don't fake 4-leaf clover them. Make it real. I bought the clover one for specific reasons. Anyway, I don't know why I just decided to share that because it was sitting next to me because I have all this stuff around me. I think that's it. I think I'm just like, I need to go knit. I have all these projects on the needles. Do you guys have any other questions that you want to ask Hedwig? Because the answer is always going to be hoot, hoot, hoot. He might not sing it though. I'm sorry, I call Hedwig a boy. Not Hedwig, this guy, but he just is. Look. Okay, I've enjoyed my knitting a little too much. I know, it's embarrassing. But, if you don't like what you're doing, like, what's the point, right? So anyway, he turned out better than I thought. Before I put this on, oops, keep showing my undercarriage. Before I put these on, it was like really flimsy and weird, and it kept like flipping over, and I was like, this thing's crap. And I hadn't put the face on till the last minute because I obviously overthink it and get hyper about it, and I was like, when you're doing faces on something, like you gotta put it, like, it has to be just right. Anyway, what was I saying? 87. So cold. What was I saying actually for real? Oh yeah, and then I added the feathers and I was like, oh, it's happening. It's happening. Look. This owl, I want you to know, only eats jelly beans, candy corn, and marshmallows. That's it. No mice were harmed in the making of this. And no owls were harmed either. I hope you guys have fun knitting this. I hope you try stranded knitting. It's not scary, you guys. Can I just say, there are so many comments when I put the tree cowl up. They're like, that looks so hard. It is not hard, people. If you can knit a hat, you can knit it. You put one color here and one color there, in one hand and the other, right? And then you read the chart and it tells you to do 4 green stitches. You're like, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it tells you to do 2 white stitches. And you go over here and you do 2 white stitches. Before you knit a new color, you bring the new color up and around your old one, and that wraps the stitch. There are fancier ways of doing it, which I'm telling you, get on YouTube and look at stranded knitting and get up in some stranded knitting, and look at how to wrap your yarn and stuff. But honestly, it's like a couple stitches in this color, a couple stitches in this color, and you just take the yarn along with you and you go in a circle. You don't have to purl, you don't have to decrease, you don't have to increase, you don't have to pick up stitches. Nothing is knitting. It's so easy. Don't be scared. I'll hold your hand. You can write me if you're having trouble. Write me on Ravelry and just be like, I'm having trouble. And I'll hold your hand. Actually, I'll say, get on YouTube right now and just Google stranded knitting, intarsia, wrapping, tucking your floats. Google all that stuff. Sit down, make yourself some popcorn, watch it all, then just start, right? Just start. The good thing about the other shawl is you're not actually having to do any wraps of your pearls. You're just knitting, so you're just wrapping your knitting as you go. So that's a great first stranded project if you've not done stranded before. I was really surprised how many people thought that pattern was going to be hard. I'm like, a sock is way harder than that. Like the first time I knitted a sock, I cried so much and I threw it away. I chucked it behind my bed. I was like, I hate everything. I cried. I was like, I can't do it. And I've been knitting for like years too when I first tried a sock. So it just takes practice. Everybody has to do something for the first time. The first time sometime. And if you practice your wrapping, and you just get better and better and better. In fact, a good way to do stranded knitting in the round is cast on, however many stitches, just rando, like 40 or something, and then just practice. Do like a couple in this one, a couple in, make something up and don't think about it. Just practice your stranding. And the key is like not to pull too tightly or to let it be too loose. I still have issues with it. I still have some puckering and some tucking and sometimes not. And at the end of the day, it all kind of like relaxes and oozes out on its own. So, sorry I've been flipping this thing around. It's probably annoying you. I don't actually know what this is. I think it's a piece of quartz or marble or something. It's like really heavy and soft. I don't know what it is. But for me, it's like a clean slate quartz. Like clean slate. Like, if you have a blip in oneness, right? So like we're all one, we're all connected, we all love one another, and then we're all like harmony and we're all made of the same stuff, right? So we should all get along, etc. Correct? Like no wars and all that good jazz. No organisms turning against itself. Anyway, in a perfect world, right? But you still have blips in oneness. You still have a situation where, you have a relationship where there's just issues. Like for some reason, the particular arrangement of your DNA and their DNA created such unique versions of oneness that you just rub each other the wrong way. This is a clean slate quartz, and I kind of use it in thinking about that. So once everything's been processed, and you've done all that you can, and they've done or not done all that they can, you're really at an impasse. Like this relationship just isn't going to work. And you've confronted them if you need to, and you've worked through all that you can do. You've tried A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you're at a point where, you know what, this is just isn't going to jam, but I have to see you. This is a clean slate. So what this is for me is like wiping the erase board clear of the stories that you've shared together. It's very easy to be like, well, this person said this, and then they did this, and then they did this, and remember when they did this, and da 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 da, and then I said this, and then they said this, and then I said this, and then they were like da da da, and I can't believe they did that. And you'll just run the story like over and over and over, even when you think you're done, and then they'll pop up, and you'll be like, oh, they did that, they said that, I can't believe. Like you just continue to like reify that narrative, that story. It keeps playing out because you're playing it like a record in your mind. The history of events, right? So the events that have happened, you're running the record of the past. It's not getting you anywhere. It's annoying you. It's not helping. They're not going to change. You've already tried to change the way that you see them, but you're running the narrative, right? And that's what this is for. It's like just clean slate. I'm not going to run those stories anymore. I'm not even going to think of what you've done. I know I don't trust you, and that's okay. And it's almost like a forgiveness situation. It's almost what forgiveness is, right? It's almost like wiping the slate clean is like, I'm going to just forget your transgressions against me. I'm not going to forget that you did something because I'm not going to trust you again. I'm not going to open my heart to you. But I refuse to continually play the record of the stories and rehearse them in my mind and remember all the things you said, all the things you did. Like, I'm just not going to do it anymore. And so that's what I use this for when I hold it. Like, oh, it's all gone. It's like, it's gone. I'm letting that go, right? No, it's not a magic stone that does that. You can hold on to, like, your hedwig for that. Or you can find any rock. Obviously, it's not this rock doesn't, like, magically do that or anything. It's just, for me, that's what this rock reminds me of. So I will hold that when I'm really trying to release something, or if I'm going to run into someone that I've had a blip in oneness with, unfortunately, right? Even when you love everybody. All right, I think that does it for me. We had our owl moment and our kitty moment. Want to say hello? And we had our yarn moments, and then we talked about this nice little stone. And that's about it. I think that's it. So I'm going to let you guys get back to your knitting and get back to doing whatever you're doing, and send you with love and big kisses and just bright hopes for everything that you're doing.